Hey everyone, Backyard Farmer Pat here. Welcome to part 2 of our seed starting videos. So if you missed part 1, be sure to stop right now and go watch part 1, because in part 1 I went over the right seeds to plant, how to plant the seeds based on the zone you're in. I also went over how to get veggies this size versus this size depending on how you plant them and how you start them. So be sure to watch that. You can always come back and watch this, but be sure to watch that first. And also, I want to give a special shout out to my friend Marcia, who made this beautiful sign for me. She said she envisioned these words while I was talking on YouTube. It says, "Preaching from Pat's Garden, fresh produce, fruits, herbs, veggies, established in 2020, which is when I started the YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Marcia. If you're watching, thank you so much for this. Anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of the video and see you soon. All right, so first let's look at the containers. Before we start planting, let's get to the containers. So you can use almost everything. There are several things you can use when you're starting tomatoes or starting any seeds. So last year I actually started my peppers. I started my bell peppers and my scotch bonnets in this actual container. I'm not gonna do it today. I actually put the seed starter here, and I put a whole bunch of holes in the top, and I put some holes in the bottom so it could drain. And the seeds germinated very well here. After they germinated and got to maybe like an inch or so, or a couple of inches tall, I transferred them. I just wanted to show you, just so to let you know you don't have to go out and buy anything. This was an old egg carton that I used. It's very important, to get started. It's not important to spend a lot of money. So if you have to do it on a cheap and use an egg carton or use an old cup, you can. Another good way to start seeds, you can actually take the red cups or these little plastic cups, and what I did was I took these clippers and I made holes at the bottom, and make sure that there are enough holes. It's very easy. You just clip it like this to create the holes. I created like 4 or 5 holes. You fill this up with dirt, and you can probably start 3 seeds in this size. This is a pretty big one. You can start 3 seeds. I tried it also with this little cup. It didn't really help because these kind of cups are so brittle that it just broke apart, so I wouldn't advise this. What I'm gonna be using today is some old containers that I saved from when I got some flowers. I got some begonias, I think a couple years back, and I always save the containers because I like to keep these containers to, whenever someone wants something, I can give it away. Also, I planted I planted a bed full of flowers last year, so I have a couple of these, which is like perfect to start seeds. Each of these size can probably have 2 seeds in there, and I'll show you exactly how I space them out. And also, before I realized I had all these, I bought these online. These are a lot smaller, but they're perfect for starting seeds. The seeds can probably stay in here for like 2 or 3 weeks until until they're a couple of inches tall, and then you can transfer them over. So we're going to be using these. I also bought a pack of, here it is. I also bought a pack of markers. So what I normally do whenever I plant seeds, so I can know what I planted, I used to take like these little tongue depressors or popsicle sticks and write the name on there so you can see. Can you see it? Write the name on there so you can see, so I can remember what I plant. I usually write the name of the herb or the vegetable, and I write the date I planted. Sometimes what I write on the back is how many days to germinate, so I can know when to expect to see it, and also how many days to harvest. I normally write that. I don't do it all the time, but I try to. And I also use plastic utensils. So you've seen in my garden, you'll see these plastic, especially plastic knives. I like to write on the plastic knives. I find that the black Sharpie works best. I've tried other things. I don't like using these because they rot, and after a while you can't read it, and then they rot and they just become compost. But with the plastic spoons or plastic knives, you can use it. You can go to a party if you want. If you don't want to buy plastic knives, you can go to a party and ask for the leftover knives and write it on them. This time I got a little fancy. It wasn't expensive. I got this pack of 100 plant labels. So it was a few dollars on Amazon, and I'll find it and I'll put the link. But it's really easy. You can just write the peppers on here, write peppers, write whatever you're planting on there. So I'm gonna be using these today. So now let's go and look at our soil, our planting medium. Let's go. All right, there's an airplane overhead. All right, so let's look at the soil that I have. So you can actually buy something called seed starter mix at like Walmart for $5 that has a perfect kind of soil that you need. But what I did was I used what I had in the garden. So I had like a half a bag of the Kellogg's potting soil mix. So I used 1 part Kellogg's potting soil, 1 part peat moss, and 1 part perlite. So perlite is the white things that makes it very light and fluffy, and peat moss is what helps it to maintain the moisture, and of course you know what potting mix is. The key is at this stage of germination, you don't have to really worry about fertilizer or anything like that. The key with that stage is that it has to be extremely light. You want the seed to be able to germinate. You don't want it heavy or it won't germinate, right? So what I'm gonna do is, what I did was I put 1 part of each in here and I mixed it well, and you can see it is super light. I'm using my gloves today because sometimes you don't know what kind of pathogens may be in here. So you know, even though it's organic, that doesn't mean it's all good if it gets in my fingernails. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna water it in well. The reason I'm watering it before I use it is, remember, we're putting in a very tiny seed, right? We're planting an extremely tiny seed. So if I plant that seed in these containers and then water it like this, the seed could wash away or it could go too deep. When you're planting seeds, you don't want it to be more than just right below the surface. So some people water it after, and that's fine. But I prefer to water the soil first when the seed is this young. Make sure that the soil is well saturated, and then I'm gonna put this into my container. So 1 part peat moss, 1 part perlite, 1 part potting soil, but that can add up. So it may be cheaper to just buy a cheap seed starter from Walmart, $5-6 at Walmart. If it's not out yet in your area, you know, just wait a few weeks, wait till next month. It will probably be out in the next couple months. So now I'm gonna fill up my container with soil. I have my gloves on, so I'm just gonna use my gloves. And this is well wet. I might even wet it again before I plant the seeds, just so I don't have to water it after, because I want to make sure my seeds don't come out, don't wash away. So I put the soil in. I'm gonna put it in a few other containers. I'm gonna plant some of the seeds here, and then I'm not gonna bore you with seeing all the seeds, but I'm just showing you what I'm gonna do here. And let me get one more type so you can see what I do with the 3 different types. So I'm gonna do 1 of each. Remember, you can always use your plastic cups if that's what you have, your egg cartons. Just get started. Don't worry about not having anything fancy. Even dollar store, the Dollar Tree sells potting soil for $1. It's not out yet because it's not really planting time, but I'm just getting an early start. But it's good to have this video. You can always come back next month and do it. So now that I have all my plant cells filled up with my nice soil, I'm gonna wet it one more time, then we're gonna plant our seeds. Alright, so this is good and wet. Then take a little bit more soil here. Great, this is good and wet. So let's do these first 3 and then I'm gonna say goodbye. Come on. All right, so we're back at the table, and what I did was I labeled exactly where I want to put them so I don't forget. So we're gonna first, let's do the black cherries. So I just opened the black cherry package I got from Baker Creek. Okay, so this doesn't have a ton of seeds. Some of the ones you get at Home Depot and Lowe's, they have more seeds, but this is a whole lot. This is more than enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plant them here. These are very small cells. I'm gonna put 1 seed. I'm gonna separate. So this has 2 seeds. I'm gonna put, oops, it's very tiny. I'm gonna put 1 over here and 1 over here. I'm putting them in opposite sections so that when I have to take them out, it'll be easy to remove. So let's look again. As a matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is, this came in the container with the labels, and it actually makes the holes of how to separate it. So I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna make 2 holes. So I guess that's the exact the ideal separation. 1 in that hole, 1 in that hole, and cover it up. It's very important with these seeds, never ever plant them too deep. Plant them literally just below the surface. So it's literally maybe 1/4 inch at the most. Shoot, oh my gosh. Those were supposed to be the black cherries. So wait a minute, what did I just do? I think I mixed up my cherries. The black cherries are over here. All right.
You planted them in both.
Oh shoot, I planted black cherries in both. You know what? I'm gonna make this I'm gonna make this whole thing black cherry then. I'm gonna make this whole thing black cherry, and then I'll get another one for Chadwick. So I'm gonna do 1 per cell. Since I did the whole thing, I'm just barely scratching right below the surface and put in 1 single seed. So that way, when these germinate, it'll be very easy to set it up. What I did for my side bed is I just sprinkled everything heavily. Now where is my black cherry? Here it is. So I'm gonna put these back in. I can plant some more later in the spring, and I'll see how these germinate. If they don't come up, I'll try again maybe in March, but they should germinate. So remove the Chadwick cherry container so we know this whole container is black cherry. Now we're gonna do Swiss chard, bok choy, Chinese cabbage, and Napa cabbage. So this is the same. This is the Chinese cabbage I planted the last time that I thought wasn't gonna come up, but I just showed it to you. So I have not that many seeds left. One thing I noticed, like when you get like the Ferry Morris or these ones from Lowe's, you get a ton of seeds compared to what you get from some of these online companies. Hold on a minute. So let's get our Chinese cabbage, and I'm gonna put 3 seeds per cell. These cells are a lot bigger than the other ones, so I'm gonna do 3 seeds, but I'm separating them. All right, so we're gonna add our Chinese cabbage. They're so tiny. These are super tiny. 3 seeds. 1. And you can barely see it, I know. Alright. And I'll leave this one open for now. I'll go back and do it. Let's look at what else do we have? Swiss chard. Let's look at the Swiss chard. This is what I tried to plant last year, but they didn't come up. Well, they did come up, but tropical storm Eta took them out. So the Swiss chard seeds are much bigger. You can see the Swiss chard seeds here. So I'm gonna put 2 seeds per cell. Here it is. Drop it there. just right below the surface. Cover it up gently. Cover it up very gently. So that's 1, 2. You notice I'm separating the seeds. I'm putting them at either end. So, and you'll see in a few weeks when it's time to transplant them, you're gonna see how easy it is to transplant it, because I didn't put them right beside each other. And remember, these are gonna get a lot bigger because they'll have more space to grow. When I plant them, I'll plant them with space. So I planted 6 Swiss chard. I'm gonna put the rest here so I can plant these again, probably in the fall. All right. So let's do Napa cabbage now. Let's see. Napa cabbage. Actually, I think we did Napa cabbage. All right. You know what? I think I'm gonna plant some. Let's do some bok chow. So this is the first time I've ever tried a Baker Creek bok chow. It's called milk bok chow, but I love bok chow that has the thick stems. The one I have now has a thin stem. So let me try this one. The milk bok chow. So I want to make sure I have the right one. So I'm gonna put milk bok. So I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna plant milk. And these seeds again are very small. I'm gonna plant, oops, more than 2 fell in that one. I'm gonna plant these, or put 3 or 4. It's kind of hard to separate them. All right, I did my best here. These kind of got clumped up, so let me separate. But you see, it's that simple. It's, you just literally just put it right below the surface. And that's it. I'm gonna go back in. I'm gonna plant my peppers, and I'm gonna plant some other stuff. Hold on, let me put the milk seeds back in the milk container. Okay, so now that we're finished planting out our seeds, the next step is it's important to protect them while they're germinating. So you don't wanna put them somewhere that it's gonna rain and mess them up. So what I've done, and this is an old plastic top that you know, that I had in the kitchen. Well, of course this wasn't in the kitchen, it's been in the yard for a while. But I use this whenever I'm germinating seeds. I just rest it on top, and I'll take this thing off and just rest it on top so that the rainwater doesn't beat down on it. And then like find somewhere like under a tree. Okay, so now that we're finished planting out our seeds, the next step is it's important to protect them while they're germinating. So you don't wanna put them somewhere that it's gonna rain and mess them up. So what I've done, and this is an old plastic top that you know, that I had in the kitchen. Well, of course this wasn't in the kitchen, it's been in the yard for a while. But I use this whenever I'm germinating seeds. I just rest it on top, and I'll take this thing off and just rest it on top so that the rainwater doesn't beat down on it. And then like find somewhere like under a tree. I keep it under a tree because it's not cold here. Seeds germinate best in temperature over 70 degrees. 70 degrees or over. So it's about that temperature in South Florida. Otherwise, you can bring them inside the house for them to germinate. So I'm gonna protect my seeds until they're actually showing. So I always just keep it loosely on top to protect it. Another thing I might do is I might put them under this table, because the rain will fall on the table, but it will offer some protection. Either that or under a tree somewhere. Okay, let me show you the 5-day progress. So the milk bok chow came up like after 2 days. Swiss chard, Chinese cabbage, they're just coming up now. I added tatsu bok chow a couple days after, so these are like 3 days old. And as you can see, I try to put one seed each, but multiple seeds fell in. Anyway, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you can watch the progress. And also I'm gonna show you how to prepare the beds for these to be planted out, and prepare the containers. And also once they're big enough, we're gonna transplant them together. So hit like, subscribe, don't forget to hit the notifier bell. Till next time, may God bless you and keep you safe. See you soon. Bye.